Is Hugh Freeze making life on Jackson Arnold too easy?
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
So we're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie 5, and we are ready to get after it. Happy Monday. I hope you enjoyed the show last night, the live show last night. If you didn't, you need to go back and listen to it, especially the second half. It was it was a banger. I'm still laughing over a lot of the stuff that was said and just the topic of discussion. So I'm not going to spoil it anymore. You need to go back and listen to it. Today we're going to talk about Hugh Freeze's comments on – is he making life too easy? I'm sorry. Hugh Freeze's comments that he's said in the past, and then other media folks, their comments on Hugh possibly making life a little bit too easy on Jackson Arnold, and they're concerned about Auburn. And for that very reason, we're going to break that down. And should we be concerned? And what does it take to rebuild confidence? How do you rebuild confidence in a quarterback? And then what are our expectations of Jackson on the season? We'll dive into all of that in just a second. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to Rhoback.com. Use coupon code BARN20 to take 20% off your order. Polos, hoodies, pullovers, doesn't matter. They got it all. If you love prints, they got prints. If you love just the traditional solids and stripes, they got those too. So show them some love. Get you some of that Auburn licensed apparel too. I'm expecting a new drop hopefully before the season starts, and you can load up and save big. So check it out. It's Rhoback.com. I'm a little bit late to the game here on this, but it's been sort of circulating and recirculating ever since SEC Media Days. And it kind of revolves around, I think the first one to really come out was Cole Cubelic, former Auburn player, talking about some things that Hugh Freeze has said that concerns him. And in a vacuum, I can see how they could be concerning. I tried to go back. Obviously, there weren't clips of every time he may have said it at SEC Media Days, but he did say something at I believe at the Regions, the golf event in Birmingham, to Cole and Greg actually on their show on Jocks, that I think is sort of the catalyst for this conversation. So I'm going to play this clip, and then we're going to go over Cole's quotes, and we'll break it all the way down.
Well, I let it get away a little bit for me last year. I won't again, maybe the last 2 years. And these defensive coordinators, and I know Venable's a great one, and they want to win. But I'm going to tell you, I don't believe there's any more important factor of practice than your quarterback leaving confident. Period. And I will make
That's so refreshing.
I will make sure that. I mean, quit doing all that stuff that we're installing, and we're not prepared for that, and it makes him feel unprotected. And so we're going to be the quarterback needs to leave practice very confident. I believe that wholeheartedly. I'm sure I'm not the one that originated that. I got it from somewhere, but we're going to make sure fall camp is, there'll be a time for dirty ball and do what you want to do and all that. Right. But right now, that quarterback needs to feel confident.
That's a great point. Thanks for stopping by.
So there you go. Talking about the quarterback feeling confident and maybe telling the defense, hey, look, when we're doing install periods, let's not do all this exotic stuff. Okay? We're not prepared for that. We want to make sure we're not damaging the maybe damaged goods even further. Cole's quote he seemed to agree there, and I'm sure that's not really the arena to just debate when you're catching somebody before they go onto a golf course. So Cole said on Josh Pate's show last week, I'm a little bit down on Auburn after yesterday, hearing Hugh Freeze talk about instructing his defensive staff to essentially make life easy on Jackson Arnold to boost his confidence. Look, I can see how you can really take those quotes and draw them to the extreme to the point where all they're doing is making it's patty cake out there with Jackson Arnold, and it's not going to get any better, and blah blah blah. I can totally get how you could jump from that quote, I guess, and then as the big fish story is told and told and told, it ends up with life is just way too easy on Jackson Arnold. He's not going to be prepared. The way I took that, and you got to hear the beginning of the quote too, and you've heard it from Hugh a lot when he's talked about these different personality tests that they're taking and really looking himself in the mirror. To me, this is way more about Hugh Freeze than it is Jackson Arnold, because he said right there at the beginning of that clip, I've let it get away from me. And what he was talking about was his attitude and the way he coached his quarterbacks. I let it get away from me maybe the past 2 years. And he always talks about how when he was doing the personality test, he may come off as like the Michael Jordan style of just getting after people, yelling and whatnot, coaching really tough. And sometimes that may not be the right way to handle different personalities. And it feels like, look, I know this kid can play football. I know this kid is talented. I got to figure out how to rebuild his confidence. I got to figure out how to rebuild, the swagger that he played with in high school, that he played with even at times his freshman year when he would go out there in, a backup role, or he would go out there in the bowl game and let it rip. Like I got to figure out how to rebuild that. And maybe that's a little bit of redoing the way that I coach. I think that's actually a huge positive. I think that's actually a huge positive to be able to look in the mirror and make some tweaks in the ways you've done things for years and years and years. Now let's talk about the practice aspect. Okay. If you played football at any level, if you've played football at any competitive level, junior high, high school, whatever, there are times, especially when you go to like first team offense, where the scout team defense is not your best players on the team. Okay. So that's typically how you run your first team offense. A lot of times you're going against 2s and 3s. So that's making life, quote unquote, easier. And then B, there are certain things that the defense is going to have an advantage just because they're your teammates. I can think of an example. Okay. First off, I'm not going to sit here and act like I was just a great high school football player. I was not. Okay. I played football for one reason and one reason only. Hey, I'm going to be a possession receiver. I'm going to catch it and I'm going to go down. Okay. I'm not breaking tackles. I'm not, I'll get open, I'll catch it and I'll go down. Okay. Wasn't a defensive guy. Okay. So I would go do scout team defense a lot. And I was in I think it was junior varsity. Okay. And we were doing an install and I was actually doing, I had not quite gotten into the starting lineup. So I was on scout team defense and I knew the offensive playbook. Okay. I knew it backwards and forwards. Well, I knew when they popped out into this little formation and I was playing like a nickel safety, nickel defensive back. I knew when they popped out into this little formation with these, little twin wide receivers, that it was going to be a swing pass. Like I knew it. I knew the formation. I knew everything about it. So they snap the ball. I jump the swing pass and pick it off, okay, behind the line of scrimmage. And I'm fired up, and I get absolutely ripped a new one. Wow. I picked the ball off. Why am I getting ripped a new one? Well, you knew the playbook. What is that? What did you really achieve? You knew the play, okay? So we're trying to install something. Let's chill a little bit, okay? I'm not saying don't go make a tackle. I'm not saying don't go make a play, but like the plays. So why don't you just relax a little bit? You didn't prove anything because you just memorized a play that you already knew. And you're not going to be defending probably this play if you were to be on defense, against, the team we play that's playing the wing T or something garbage like that. So that's not very uncommon. It's not very uncommon to say, look, let's chill a little bit. Okay. While we're installing, let's chill a little bit. There's going to be a time that we can really get after it. But like, look, let's get this thing. The defense has not been a problem. Okay. Sure. We can talk about the third down stuff. Defense hasn't really been a problem. We got to get this offensive thing figured out. We got to get this offensive side figured out. We got to be able to move the ball. We got to be able to score points. Okay. If we're out here just memorizing our plays and jumping everything, y'all have the advantage. So let's just chill a little bit. I mean, I don't think that's ever not happened anywhere. So maybe I'm wrong. And I played for a guy that won a bunch of state championships. So, well, whatever. I just think that was really blown out of proportion. And I know Cole agreed with him in the first clip. Again, I don't think that's the time to debate. And then he flip-flops, and it's, I'm really down on Auburn because I heard something that I already heard several months ago. It's talking season, so there's got to be stuff to talk about. Let's talk about how you rebuild confidence. We'll talk about that here in just a second. We'll be back right after this. How do you rebuild a quarterback's confidence? I think that is going to be the $1 million question for this season, because we can walk through all of the position groups. We can walk through the defensive side. We can walk through the offensive side, offensive line, wide receivers. We get it. The team's pretty loaded. The team is as talented. The roster is as talented top to bottom as it's been in quite some time. From a blue chip ratio perspective, it's the most talented roster Auburn's had since they started monitoring that. In other words, what's the ratio of 5- and 4-star kids on your team as a whole? And I think Auburn has the most they've ever had. So the roster's good. We get it. But I think it's pretty clear, it's pretty obvious, it's not even really a stretch that everything is going to hinge on the success of Jackson Arnold. I don't think you feel confident if you have to go to Ashton Daniels. I don't think you feel confident if you have to go to Deuce Knight. If Jackson Arnold doesn't work, you're going to be in a world of hurt. You're going to be in a lot of – it's going to be an issue. It's going to be an issue unless there's just a breakout. Unless – there's just something sort of like an unpredictable breakout from one of those other two guys, which I think they're good players, but I just don't think they take you to the heights that where Jackson could take you if he is as good as he can be. So how do you rebuild that? Do you bring him in and just throw him in the fire? Do you have to change the way you talk to your quarterbacks? I mean, it seems like you have to really you can't do things just this exact same way that you've always done them because of the importance of this season, because of the importance and everything that's riding on Jackson Arnold. And I think Jackson's even going to feel the pressure of, hey, I got people's jobs basically on my back. And I was not very successful last year for whatever, we can talk about all the different reasons, but it was not successful last year. I've got to make a huge jump in production. I've got a school on my back. I've got kind of, I've got a lot of money in the bank on my back. So how do you rebuild that confidence? And I don't think it's something that can be done quickly, but I think two ways you can do it is obviously personnel around them, which has been, check the boxes. Okay. I got a really good offensive line in front of me. That builds confidence. I know that as soon as I put that foot in the ground, I'm not having to worry, maybe not having to worry so much about pressure. I can actually go through my reads. That's going to be huge. And if this offensive line is as good as we think it could be, put that as a mark in the confidence booster side. Then you have wide receivers. You got the skill around them. That's another check. You feel like you got dudes that, hey, if the play breaks down, if I can just get it close, pretty good chance somebody's going to make the play. That's another thing. When you drop back, okay, I'm dropping back, I'm confident I'm protected, and now I'm confident that I'm going to have guys in the right position. And then I'm also confident that if some things break down, if I can just get the ball out, could end up being a big play. That's got to bring you confidence. Then you go into the system, okay? You've heard Jackson talk about this system's not difficult. It helps me get the ball out quick. I played something a little bit similar in high school. I committed to something a little bit more similar under Jeff Levy in college. And now I'm getting back into it. Last year was, just what it was. He had 3 different guys calling plays, I think. At some point in time, I know we're about to get hit in the comments with, Auburn has 3 different play callers, which I'm not even going to go there. That's an argument for a whole nother day. But yeah, you go from that. Now you're back into a system that you feel more comfortable with. You've checked off 3 boxes right there, okay, of how to build confidence. And I think after that, it's like repetition, okay? And then adding a little bit more, adding a little bit more, adding a little bit more. He threw interceptions in spring. I don't think they're out there playing flag football. I don't think that it's out there just playing patty cake. I mean, there was turnovers, there was pressure, there was sacks, there was touchdowns. There's a lot of stuff in spring that could have gone, a lot of back and forth. And I think you'll see that in fall camp too. I think maybe it starts off with a little bit slow. And then as it gets closer to game, you ramp up the pressure and add the weight. Add the weight, add the weight, add the weight. That's really the only way you can do this. You've done the stuff off the field that you had to do to build the confidence. Now you got to do the stuff on the practice field. I don't think anything that Hugh said is really that controversial. If it's talking season and you want to make a point, I can totally see how you can try to draw those lines to get from point A to point B. But in reality, it's no different than any level of football than anybody's played. I mean, let's just be serious. Have your expectations changed from hearing anything like this about Jackson this upcoming season? Not from me. I think he's going to be a really good player. I think he's got all the tools. I think he's the perfect fit. And he seems to have really bought into the culture, to the roster, to the team, to Auburn. And I think that he doesn't want to let anybody down. And I think if you could have just given him a little bit of help last year, he could have done some special things. I mean, you saw flashes. You saw some things last year from him, gutsy, being able to put a team on your back and carry them against that, the Alabama game. So he's got the guts to be able to handle the pressure. You got the talent now. You got him surrounded. Now you just got to, I guess, bring him along and you should be good to go. I think this was way overblown. Let me know what you think in the comments. They are not playing patty cake out there. They're not playing flag football. They're not letting Jackson score a bunch of touchdowns. Like I said, there were turnovers in spring. It's not like it was just Jackson going against air all spring. Hey, let's just take it easy a little bit. Let's take it easy. We get it. You're good. We get it. You know our playbook. Maybe let's dial it back a little bit and let's see if we can get this offensive thing figured out. And as spring goes on, as fall camp goes on, we can ramp it up a little bit. I mean, that's typical. Let me know what you think. Practice is, I think they meet tomorrow, and then your first practice is either Wednesday or Thursday. I think it's Wednesday. Can't wait, man. We're so close. we're almost out of talking season, and we'll be able to talk about actual football practice and things like that. So, guys, can't wait to talk about it. We'll be back again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.